keep your balance going to where you want to go to the next step. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you cut that right leg, don't cut with them. A lot of people cut with them and add more pressure. Because you're like, I'm actually going to keep going on straight. And if you cut in, and you cut in, you know, you see a little bit more.
Yeah. Very, very.
Yeah, so the slowing part of it is going to be great things for you. But it's pretty good. Right? Being nervous. So you're like, I don't know what's next.
Very, very willing.
Yeah.
Well, just God's sake and his hindrance.
Right? So if you were to open up your right rein just a little bit right now, the circle would get smaller, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're in the cross
Because that's his, like if I do this, that's how he turns the key.
Yeah.
You hit.
Okay,
You want the dart in immediately.
Yeah. So for this purpose, you're going to open your right hand and you're going to ask for him to look to the right. So what you're looking for is just his right eye and his right nostril. In terms of bend for the dressage, he doesn't need to bend an awful lot. There's not a lot of bend in this, and then he needs to move his rib cage to the left. So open your right leg a little bit, and a good rule of thumb is not add inside or
Yeah.
Right? So now, he's cutting in, so look up and go to where you want to go. So send more balance to where you want to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So eyes up and look to where you want to go next. And keep your center on the track of this circle.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If he cuts in, address it, and you can give him a little half halt. So let's say they cut in, they get a little faster sometimes, right? So a little half halt, stay to the wall or stay out on the circle. And watch that your right leg is always open. You have it around him, and if he cuts in, address it with your right leg.
Okay.
Setting your right leg a little off the neck. Now a little half halt. So that everybody is bend your outside elbow and increase the angle so I can see yes. Like maybe a corner in your elbow and squeeze your hand. Now, if that half halt makes him look left, it's too strong. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So practice a half halt here, and watch what he does. If he doesn't make him look left, there you go. And now just a little bump with your right leg, tiny little touch with your right leg, and say over. As if he was in the cross ties and you were saying over. Make sense?
Yeah.
So a good test to end your, if they're respecting your inside leg, is that you just open your inside leg, not pulling back, open it, and you don't turn off the wall. But now you're going to look on the floor. And it's just an education to get in and say, yeah, put the pressure on, stay away, move around the circle, and then I'll move along. But if we keep the leg on all the time, then they tend to protect their balance by shoving back feet. But they're not saying no. They're just like, well, if I moved over as far as you're asking to move over, we'd be going through the wall.
Yeah. He's got no problem pushing you to the wall. And I can have that trouble with him too, or he'll grind my outer leg against the wall.
He's a real.
All
this
over
is
the matter.
Well, this is lovely though. So that inside leg. So that outside range. So when you touch that inside leg on him, it should create a feeling of fullness in your outside ring finger. So if you touch him with the leg, then that outside, he moves over, and because he moves over enough, then you can kind of control the side of the circle, outside. That makes sense. So put that right leg on, close that outside hand, and look for a feeling. When you put your right leg on, that you actually feel him sort of fill out that space. A little touch with your right leg, say over. And then test that he's listening to that right leg by opening up that inside ring. Open it up. Here's attention. Good boy. Oh, yeah, see? Always the calling card.
He doesn't know how to walk and do it either.
Well, that's the help me corner. Well, and that can actually be their pelvic tilt. It can be a sign of like the comfort, right? Because they have to actually like lift their back and tilt their pelvis. A lot of us have a hard time doing that in the front.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to walk and do it.
So a little touch, watch you don't hold him to all of that right leg. And watch you make enough room with your left leg. So that you're trying to get your closing door, you're opening both doors. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then let's take a side. a little bend in your right knee. You can still feel them with your right leg. And open up your left thigh a little bit if you can. So find either side with your right leg. So right now, your right leg on your shoulder or in your elbow. So just bend your knee a little bit. And find rhythm now. And bend your knee. You want to watch that. It's a little different, right? In the Western games, you really need to sort of set up against your stirrup.
Yeah.
Okay? And here, we think of this kind of, this is like a platform for your feet. And relax your ankle. Relax your knee. So even now, just pull your foot down for a second and bend your knee. But you can get that leg underneath. There you go. There you go. Nice. Good job. Eyes up. And if you touch them with your right leg, it's just hard if the right leg is too far forward. If you let it holding, it's tickling his armpit instead of for asking you to keep your weight over. Watch that holding diagonal. Again. Good job. And just keep going to the next step. And it's hard, right? And they have a little hitch in their get along. But it can be hard, right? Because it's like a little, there's like a little abstract jazz beat.
You almost feel like a cow walk a little. That's what
Yeah.
it feels like.
So in this product, you're looking for clear 2 beats, best you can get, right? And so up for 1, down for 1, up for 1, down for 1. There, and just getting that nice clear. Now, again, watch the circle is just the same size on this side of that and on that. Good. And bend that right knee a little bit. Find his side so you can feel his almost his skin or his earth a little bit on the inside, on your inside leg. Open out of that right ring a little bit, little tap. And bend your right knee a little bit. That's where you can find the side. There you go. Yeah. So when you find his right side first, right? So you're looking for, you can find his right side, but you want to find it on his bread basket and not his armpit. And keep squeezing those hips. Huh? Now, when you ask him, you can walk for a second. When you ask him for cancer, what's the timing on that?
Like you are not even thinking.
Where are you in the queue?
So when we're trotting, I go to pull stick, outside leg on, and ask for whirl.
Okay, and so you
So
said
like with a slight bump or a pluck, he's a very boisterous horse. I just go and he'll go. He's very boisterous. But yeah, the quiet cue is a full sit down, 1 feet, and an act.
okay.
Where the barrel isn't, we're always at that speed. So this is the opposite. Where when I sit down, I'm thinking act slow. It took him a really long time to learn.
Right.
Because it's the opposite form. It took me a really long time to learn too. And I'm still not learning. Let's be honest.
What do you think you are?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. That's originally why we started. Our first show season, I did dressage because we could do the slow boring stuff, as we call it, right. We couldn't do the speed events anymore. So we started dabbling in dressage with Lindsay. And we can do the online right now, which is good for my morning fitness and motion fitness. Travel is always so good.
yeah, you don't want to get it all. You usually sit through the whole thing? Or just for the first?
I have never tried it. This is my first time. I've had 2 fire speeds. This is my first time morning fitness.
What did you have for a week or so?
Boy.
So you didn't know that.
I'm open. This is his first time. This is his first time I've come up with it too. He had a really bad injury and he used to ride in maximum only a bit. But with the EPM having no choice but to give him oral meds every every single day for 3 months straight,
Yeah.
we were able to work through some of those issues that I could find that could fit him. So he's learning that as well. It's a new thing, but he's so much better with the bit as the course that naturally changes. Like he would never leave his head down, and I feel like he did now with the half more and very head high. As soon as the bit is done, carry yourself up more naturally.
So what, you have no problem finding your side of your right leg and walk. It's not what I like to hold Yeah. So think of your whole upper body, and so when you're going to the right, and then try to sort of relax your right leg a little bit. Instead of, like when you think of the front, it gets kind of stiff and bracing. So just try to keep a little soft bend in your knee, and if you sort of get stuck, push your toe down. Like push your right toe down, just to try to soften up your ankles, so your ankles don't get jammed. Because I like when I see in like my Western they you have to sort of like jam and torque and go against the forces,
Very
right?
often in all motions, really.
There's centrifugal force, yeah, you kind of walk and go. Where this is a little softer. All right, we're going to try canter to the right. We're going to see how that goes. Okay?
You want me to do this one, or you just want me to do more like this?
Well, you can point us to know if he was behind me or not. So take like with that E, set him up, press him, and then pick a letter and try where you're going to keep canter there. And then you can guide it if you are or you're not. Just say out loud what letter you're going to use, and we can hold you accountable.
I'm going to do the knee.
So let's get that rhythm first in that trot. So you're looking for a clear clip clop, clip clop. The canter is da-da-da, da-da-da, your 3 beats. Da-da-da-da-da. Clop, clip clop, clip clop.
Too lazy.
There's the right lead, eh?
Yeah, you know he does it. But I feel like sometimes you go without a sleeping conversation walk.
And then the whole part where you would be adjusting his rhythm. So slow your feet down. And we get down movement. Yes, control your movement even more. Okay, give him a pat. Well, that's what he's going to say, right?
Yes.
So give him a pat, and after that, you can say, so just when he's in the back, when they follow that behind. You know, more things that you can do for that. Slower, slower.
Next is thing, like he's very, very forward at first, and then about halfway around the circle, he'll settle into the more wider.
Yeah.
I struggle to get it from jump.
So you know how like in the trot where I was like when you come down to the walk, be walking with your seat?
Yeah.
When you pick up the canter, know the movement that you know the canter that you want when you pick it up. So instead of just being like, I'm gonna hope I get the canter and then I'll deal with it halfway around, be in your seat. So like this is the canter I want. So that he learns to match you instead of you kind of seeing what you got.
Okay.
And then kind of hold it. Is that
Yeah.
make sense? So it's basically like, you know, if you want to go from trot to walk, you're trotting and then you're walking with your seat, even if you're still trotting. And if you go to pick up the canter, you're trotting and then you're cantering in the rhythm you want. You kind of have to use an imagination a little bit, right? Because if he still gets off at his pace, you kind of, this is where strength comes in. Instead of pulling him to override it by the way, you might want to canter at walk 3, but I'm over. And so find comfort in matching your food. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Same thing at the cutting. When we go to cut in, you just jump. So you all say like, oh, no, I'm just saying you're looking in a circle. You find enough to try to stand where you are, right? Let's change direction.
He's a very creative boy, actually.
Right, so knowing that he actually wants to stay under, you use power of your balance and your weight.
I'm then like going this way, I'm functioning better. I feel like you'll does see a dramatic difference like between our left circle and our right circle.
We are all dramatically different one way and the other.
I feel like I'm like super dramatic though, like it's like day and night. Are you ready? Do you want to do trot or do you want to
I want you to do a couple walks and practice like trotting and then coming and walking with your feet without just stopping in between. That makes sense. You're coming up center line, just quick, and you're holding quick square. So you've got to hold things down fast. And find those clear 2 beats as you can. 1, 2, 1, 2. And just don't do anything, don't change anything until you really got your rhythm. So you're not even trying to match his rhythm, you're setting your rhythm. Yeah, stay on it. Stay on it. Stay on it, stay on it, stay on it. See how it's on 1, 3, and then, so you have to keep trying to trot along, and that's actually the hard work. That's like if you were running on a treadmill that you had to make go yourself through manpower. Yeah, right? Just keep going, keep going. Yeah, and then try or a little walker and then so first from the half wall, and you gotta stop where you are. There. And forward walk. So then we want to see a nice working walk. Okay, and then let's get a trot again, and let's get the rhythm you want right off the bat. Keep your knees soft, and try to keep your ankles soft too. If you have to, you can go down a little bit and then feel it. I can move my ankles. Good job. So that your knees can absorb some of the force, your ankles can absorb some of the forces, right? Not just your lower back and your hips. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you're using joints more than muscles here. So try just try and find it in your joint and swing your hips up. And then your lower leg gets really nice and quiet, but soft. Good job. And then walk. Right. And then walk. Very different, eh? Yeah. Maybe that's a problem for him. So when you ride your corners, or if you're coming up to a letter prep, and think like fixate on preparation. So that in that moment before the transition comes up, you're thinking of the trot you want. In that moment before the transition comes up, you're not just thinking of getting the canter, you're thinking of getting the canter you want. And what that feels like to you. No matter what.
Sorry, but I'm very tired of this. See if you can see the fact that I was in one direction. Oh, you were
So eyes up. And like a really common move, like I know in Western pleasure, right? They say when you're coming up, like, not Western pleasure, but is it? When they do those little choruses, and they come up the center line, the confident riders are just looking up, like I'm going to get it. I'm going to get all of this, I'm going to nail it. They're not looking down, like right in the words. Yeah. They're not looking at the audience or the judge, but they're just going your way. So big confidence, chest high, and rhythm you want. And he's quite nice and forward now, isn't he? Yeah. So you can probably scale it down a little bit. Watch that inside leg and think on the rhythm you want. Sit a little smaller. Sitting a little smaller. There. Yeah, and then bring it down. Because it's really hard to sort of contain your, I gotta call it canter. Like I feel like a sham when I say low. Yeah. And then I say long.
So I'm wondering this, when I do the test out too, that really catches me too, the different disciplines from trot and canter and lope and what is it, John?
Yeah.
Yeah.
start in that rhythm you want. So like once you kind of nailed the rhythm you wanted, and like his ideal look in balance, then you're able to just recreate that quite comfortably and it really is, right?
Yeah.
There's no right. The homework for you would be being able to play with your seat and have him like equate that to you want a bigger counter, your seat get a little bit bigger and actually almost a little bit lower. Right. And like
Yeah. So I've been Western for a little while, so I don't have my English muscles anymore. Oh yes, here's your friend. I used to though, like before I had him, my mare was English, that's why I still have the English style.
yeah.
So it was really, really hard for me to even learn this nonsense of put your leg down and sit back.
Yeah.
So I really struggled to go to Western.
Well, and then that more the ability to and
And that's what I've been focusing on with the coaches to our rhythm.
and just put particularly on every order.
Yeah.
So instead of like a lot of people get on boards that are like, okay, what do I have? The more you learn to go, oh, this is, I don't learn what the ideal rhythm is within each gait, and then reproduce that. And then once you have that consistency, play with it. Open them up, close them up.
If he's really pretty with trot transitions, like quiet trot to like long trot, like he's pretty with those. I thought he thought
Right. So the lazy man approach is to just stop the seat. So I don't think you get half off or you get the hard work is going, walk, and then going, down.
yeah. Like even just like if I just do this, he can watch it. I don't have to bump him. Like he's very, like he will move off just my feet.
Now, in the walk, it would be better, like in our world, if you actually just touch him with your leg and let him swing you. So because if you're not comfortable on the back, you can push from the feet, right? You're really the cancer. Now, just put a lock on your leg and then let me roll it back or stay with it. Because he swings your feet.
Okay.
Very easy walk. Those legs don't get out in front of you. Eyes up. A little bend in the elbows. And the other right shoulder pointing in the direction that I want the shoulder pointing. And look, when you turn your shoulder, he turns, didn't he?
Yeah.
So now tiny touch from your inside leg just says, stay out. There we go. That's pretty. Good boy. And you're very quiet and you're very balanced. Really focusing on your balance. Not just bouncing, but you're kind of balanced over a little teeny tiny red dot in the